Hello everyone. My name is Khajan and today we're gonna discussing about TinyML, AIoT and how they meet with appliances. Having said that, let's begin and to start here first let's look into the small smart appliances. What are these smart appliances in our daily lives? So we all are living in the world where we are surrounded with appliances all around us. When we go home, when we wake up, we see a lot of devices. Some of them are smart, some of them are dumb. When I say dumb devices, which means I need to tell them what to do. We all like being smart, and so why not appliances as well? These appliances are here to make our life easier. So to begin this, I would like to take you back again to 10 years ago when this IoT bubble era came in. There used to be machine to machine. One machine could speak to another machine, and those machines were not necessarily connected to the internet. So, for example, when I wake up in the morning and I switch on my geyser, at the same time, geyser tells to my coffee machine, "Hey, the coffee is ready." They were not connected to internet, even though they were making our life easier. These things in this IoT era now, all the nodes also connected to internet, which means it has opened a new era where all these devices are accessible remotely to us. When they are remotely connected with us, we have this flexibility to control them while we are in office. So let's say someone is going to the office and forgot to switch off the lights. They can simply now with one a mobile app they can control it and they say, "Hey, let me close the lights." And same thing after this pandemic era, lots of people have started working from home. When we work from home, there are high chances a lot of peoples are already there, and the air quality measurement we don't really know. This quality matters a lot in today's world, not just for us, even for future generation. How about we could have a device which could tell us preemptively if you are what air quality you are breathing in. These IoT devices are here to stay. If you see, IoT is something, in a layman term, you get the physical data to the digital world. All the devices what we have, let's say a coffee machine or a refrigerator, they have a sensor in it, and the only purpose of this is to send this data to, let's say, to the cloud. Now, I don't want to just focus here on IoT. Now, this right now the trend is AI, machine learning, because it's not just enough to produce the data and consume it. We could do a lot of things all together along with artificial intelligence and machine learning. IoT is here from long time. A lot of devices are already producing the data. Right now, the world needs more smarter devices which can take the decisions. Now, here, if you see, these devices are creating a lot of data on day-to-day basis. You look at a refrigerator, they have microcontrollers and they are producing the data, and this data is being sent to the cloud. We use different communication channel in it. Some of them are MQTT, LoRa, Wi-Fi, those protocols, as well as the interfaces. Through these communication protocols, we aggregate this data, and this data then being analyzed and then do some custom action on top of it. Now, what you see on the analyze and act part, that's where the AI and machine learning comes into the picture. So if I give you one example, let's say you get up in the morning and this is your daily routine. You switch on your lights. After switching on your light, you go and switch on your TV. Now, over the period of time, machine learning learns automatically and does this action automatically. You just wake up in the morning and in the series of actions, it switches on your TV as well. So that's how IoT and AI are working together, and this is the fancy term called AIoT. Now, having this lot of data, there are two ways to process it. Whenever we talk about AI and machine learning, in our mind it comes big TPUs, GPUs from Big Four and Google, their data centers, and all are surrounded with the water, a refrigerator. They are keeping the big machines cool because they're processing a lot of data. It requires a lot of energy to train this. Here, we have two different approaches. One, the end device is already producing the data, and also it is sending data to the cloud. We do process already right now all the data in the cloud. We run the high quality models, which is their accuracy is improving because of a lot of process. And have the edge devices. They also have some processing powers, but because it requires a lot of RAM, it requires CPUs. Lack of those capability, they are right now they were not able to run these models in the edge. How do we literally segregate this? Of course, we cannot move everything to the cloud. There is always security reason because you are going in your house and there is a camera in it. You don't want your photos to be sent to the cloud all the time. What if these actions could have been done locally without going to the internet? What if there is no internet itself? So to achieve this, IoT devices can process this model, and that's where that AIoT comes into the picture. Here, there is this interesting study. What I'm showing it to you here is, if you notice the red lines, which is of smart speaker, it's rapidly growing over last couple of years, and the forecast is it will still grow. What does it tell you? It tells about the smart speaker that people also likes uniformity. We have just one interface to interact with, which is voice. We control right now our all devices using voice. It's very nice user behavior than if we compare either using an app or go to a website or order some food. Because of this trend, people are more leaning towards a smart speaker. Just say, hey, book me an Uber, and your Uber is right outside your door. Hey, get me a food. Your food is right outside your door. This is the very first basic application of TinyML, a machine learning model deployed right into the edge. Have you ever noticed switching off your internet and say, hey, okay, Google, or hey, Alexa, it still responds you back. It checks the acoustic around you and does the actions. Smart speaker has a positive side to it. They are always connected with power supply. Power supply is really critical in IoT devices. When we talk about really these edge devices, they really don't have this capability. They are working in a remote areas in the forest, continuously producing the data, monitoring it. Now, how do we do this? The answer to this question is TinyML. In the TinyML, there are three different things which comes together, and the intersection of it is where it resides. I will ask you to focus on the first bubble, which is application. The application is something, let's say you are right now sitting in your house and there is a security camera warns us about if there is a thief outside or not. This is the application which tells preemptively if thief is outside or not. What is a machine learning? Then look at the other bubble about the machine learning. Machine learning is something with lot of data. What can it analyze using the neural networks? and can predict in the future what action you may take, and these are the preemptive actions you could have taken. And the third things, where application gonna resides, because we already have the solution. The solution either, let's say if we have a camera, the camera itself has the high processing powers, but they are really expensive, and we could run those machine learning model right into it if they have those space. But here we are focusing on microcontrollers, a very tiny chip which which can be put anywhere. So here, if you see the first application and machine learning, we need to think in this perspective. How this application can adopt to the machine learning model, which has to reside in the embedded system. We cannot use directly those machine learning model, which is of huge size. So here, if you remember, the mobile net model still has a 16 MB size. We cannot afford to have those size directly into embedded system. We need to do some downsampling. We need to do certain approaches to make this happen into the embedded system, and also what changes we could use in the application side. So that's where we have TensorFlow Lite and those kind of approaches which you could adopt. Now, first, let's see how machine learning model can be sit inside an embedded system. As we know, machine learning models runs behind a CNN. They all are neurons. They work similarly like our brain works. So if I ask you to think about it, we have been eating apple from long time, and mostly it used to be, let's say we eat a red apple, and we know its taste, we know its texture. After so many years, if somebody gives you a green apple, still you say, hey, even though its color is different, still we identify it as an apple. How so? Because we know those features. We know its shape. We know its texture. We know its taste. How does it taste? And they all are linked along with our neurons. These same things are replicated in machine learning. Now, when we talk about machine pruning, the first approach to reduce the model size, it's something in some use cases we really don't need those too many details. So what we do is we remove those those neurons, and we see how how is the right now, and we compare it. And the another approach is also quantization. Quantization is something, we have different primitive types. How do we reduce those things without losing the quality itself? So if you know a int is 4 times lesser than a float, there is already some trial and errors where people had identified after doing the quantization and pruning, there is not much there was not much significant changes in some of the use cases. They were around less than 5%. And there is a trade-off in all the cases. What are we gaining out of it being deployed a model into edge devices? So the aim of this is, think about it. We have a microcontroller and a machine learning model in it, and we are observing a behavior right into the forest. These devices runs in the battery for 6 months or a year maybe, or even more than that. So we do not need to worry about what their battery life is unless we get the data. We can analyze those things, and it can also predict it because of the tiny ML power. Now, having said that, this tiny ML capacity, why, as a developers or programmers, why do we really need to focus on it? There are applications. There are already cloud-based applications where we train at huge powers. These things, if you see here the trend chart, this is about how the microcontrollers are growing in the market. It's upward trend, and that is what has been forecasted for coming years. These coming years, since microcontrollers gonna grow, and hence these tiny ML or IoT in the edge devices gonna grow as well. So far, we have seen a lot of devices, they are not really connected to internet. And there is a huge scope of writing the right applications which can solve a lot of purpose here. Because they are low cost, they runs in low power, they will be in high demand. And hence, there are many other use cases which are still not explored. Is there are a lot of scope on those areas. So as a programmer, this is the time where we focus on applications. It's not always tiny is the bad thing, but the future of ML is the tiny. Now I will like to show you how Bosch, along with collaboration of NASA, doing AIoT into the space.
Space. Imagine what the whole weightless thing really feels like.
Yeah, space is an obvious topic for AIoT. Space tourism has just begun, and you don't want to go up there unconnected.
I'm saving for a ticket, but the cost is mad. A space tourist ticket is about 200,000 euros.
Yeah, don't get me started on the queue.
But with all those people up in the space stations, someone's got to take care of it. And that's where Bosch comes in. Camilla, you've got 20 seconds to tell us about the SoundSea.
Bosch is working on SoundSea, a sensor system powered by AI together with NASA. It's a way of detecting problems at the space station, not by sight, but with sound recognition technology.
SoundSea learns from sounds and then teaches itself.
It sends the recorded sound back to Earth to a Bosch team, and our tech will run diagnostics on it.
Beam me up.
Bosch and AIoT, a smart connection.
So this is just one example of the beginning. There are huge scope using these devices right in the right places. I would like to explain you now what in the Bosch how we are implementing IoT cycles. You see in our product and services. So any product needs a value creation. Once the value creation, we have the product services. The other cycles are always, you see in the traditional value creation system, there are quality issues, then there are market research. And based on this, we try to add up again to the value creation. And this cycle goes like this. These are the feedback loops, which, because of the manual intervention, are slower. Now, think of these like in the product services itself, having a lot of sensors, which is producing a lot of data. You see on your right. With a lot of data and the AI enablement into it, this becomes data driven. This will be faster, the feedbacks are faster, and using this AIoT cycles, we are using this in our product and services, and also in our internal domains. When I say internal domains, all the products and services needs support as well. We develop these things. There is an IT involved in it. Everywhere we have to have this technology which can be implemented. Now going forward, let me give you one example of Bosch Smart Oven. A very good example where Oven does custom actions with the camera. So let's go back again. Think of it, your traditional oven. How does it work? A traditional oven is something you put a food and you have some presets, like how many times you want to run it. But have you ever really Are you really using those things that often? This is where we have a smart oven. What it does, it has a camera in it. Think of it as a user. You put a food, it automatically detects what food you have kept in. And based on the food, it also suggests you how much time you should have it in order to bake. And also what should be the recipe. These recipes are something very customizable. It depends on the person to person. Some person does not really like this. They have different preferences. So what happens is, after putting the food, these categorization happens and user selects the particular food. These all things are also enabled with Alexa. Here you could see the object detection, the classification, right there happens whatever is needed into the edge. Another great example I want to give you here is the application demo where a dog can can be detected based on the owner, and then the classification of different activities, a poop or the pee. A doctor can also identify if dog is healthy or not. These requires a lot of these are complex things and needs a ML pipeline here. Also, doing right into the edge reduces the latencies. So these are the just certain examples how we are using IoT and TinyML into the applications. So now before closing this talk, I really want you to think about it. Do you want to work on the problems which can be solved with the MCUs? There are many things happening over here. MCUs right there working IoT in the edge, and there are a lot of things are still in the exploration phase. So this is the right time to explore into TinyML, AI, machine learning stuff, and there is a huge scope on different use cases which are still not explored.